Hello, Chris Jolly of NovaHoops.com, editor in chief. I'm coming to you this evening to talk to you about girls public school basketball in 2024 2025. And if you're not familiar with the girls basketball scene around here, get familiar this year because I don't think I've ever seen, even in an area as deep of uh, with talent, as flush with talent as Northern Virginia, I don't know if I've ever seen a year where the talent is so widespread and where so many teams in so many different classes are really going to be fun to watch. Girls basketball this year is going to be fantastic. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about some of the endless, it seems like, teams that could make a run this year. You got to start with one, and they're the state title favorite in our view, in our publication's view, Osborne Park. They've been to the Class 6 state tournament a bunch of times recently. They've won the region a bunch of times recently, but they haven't been able to go all the way to the state title game. Chrissy Kelly's had some great squads. This year, we view them as a state title favorite in Class 6, and it's easy to see why if you watch them. It starts with an incredible junior class. You got Key Rainey, Samaya Sneed, J.O. West. Everybody's back from last year. They're still only juniors. They're such good players. Key Rainey, especially, is just unbelievable. She's the key to that team, an explosive scorer who can do it all, really. She, really just drew a lot of praise from the people that watched her last year, just the different roles she filled. She's an explosive guard, first and foremost, that can score, but we've also seen her do things like work the high post in a zone as if she was a post player or something like that. Rebounds very well, can handle the ball. She's the key to everything out there, but she's got a ton of help. As I said, almost everybody back from last year. Peyton Walters, a sophomore who was fantastic last year, she's back. Alex Brown, 6'2" center that's committed to Stony Brook, a senior, one of the few, if not, I believe, only senior on that roster. She brings a lot to the table. She allows, obviously, Osborne Park to play with the bigger teams, to slow it down a little bit and bang it down low. She's back. And then you've got just two players, too, that you're joining this already formidable group. One was there last year. Her name is Janie Salinas. She's a shooter, and she's just been knocking down everything in the preseason. Osborne Park could shoot threes last year. With her opening it up like she's been shooting, though, it'll open the offense up for everybody else. And the other one is Kai Jones, who's a freshman making the roster. That should give you an idea about how good she is. This is a deep team. We put them in one tier. We put the contenders this year in tier one. Osborne Park is the tier one contender. Can they be beaten? Yeah, actually, that's what's going to make it fun this year. There are so many teams in Northern Virginia that could beat them, but it's going to have to be an awful good night for Osborne Park to go down to anybody. I mean, they're playing in the Potomac School Tournament this weekend. Chrissy Kelly is playing an A1 schedule as you would expect her to. It's very unlikely anyone will stop Osborne Park on their quest for a state title this year. Even though, of course, you have Manchester and Thomasdale down in Richmond, you have other teams that are good as well. And as I said, a Northern Virginia team could beat them, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to imagine. But let's talk about tier two in Northern Virginia now, because that's going to be really fun. There are, gosh, probably about 19 to 20 teams that anybody can beat anybody. When we did the Nova Hoops rankings this year, we kind of had a good idea who the top five would be. And then once we started getting down to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, we saw the results and we were like, wow, they could just as easily play a team that we rank in the 25, 26, 27, 28 range. And it's almost a toss up. That's how deep the region is. Let's start in the Liberty District, where it's probably again going to be a three-team race for the crown this year. All of them legitimate contenders. McLean being one. They won the Liberty District title last year. They've got Tatum Olson, who's a fantastic player back. Alyssa Evans. A lot of people actually back for Coach Pat Deegan. Not everybody, but this could be the year that they actually make a playoff run. They lost in the first round last year. The Liberty District gets matched up with the Concord at regionals, and McLean lost in the first round, as did actually the entire Liberty District. But this could be the year that they really make a run. We'll see. They're well coached. They've got seniors. They've got young talent. They've got a lot of experience. We'll see how it translates. Langley, obviously the other team, they look like the favorites in the district early last year. McLean kind of caught them late, but they're good. They've got a great backcourt in Madison Shamlou, a junior point guard, and Anya Rahman is back yet again. One of the best scorers in the area, crafty guard. We've loved watching her for years. She's going to be tough to stop, even with all the defensive attention that's been sent her way over the last few years. She still gets hers. And we think the key to the season, there's a lot of young talent at Langley too. Watch for some of that to step up this year. But Peyton Daly, who's an all-district post player, we want to see how dominant she is this year. If she's even better than she was last year, Langley's going to be the better for it, because that'll open up things for, obviously, Anya out on the perimeter and Peyton down low. So we'll see. The other team, which is a sleeper, that's been a sleeper, is Washington Liberty. They lost a couple players to graduation. They've been young, it seems, eternally. But they did lose a couple players. Harriet Shapiro comes to mind, but her sister Frances is still there. Experienced wing, can handle the ball, can rebound down low. You got Julia Kelly, you got Catherine Wagoner back. These are experienced players. And then you've got Eve Youngman in the middle, and she is a legitimate center, which is always nice to have. I talked about the importance of Peyton Daly at Langley in the district. It's important to have that center, and Eve is a legitimate center. So we'll see if Washington Liberty can surprise some people. They're not really a surprise around the region now. Those are the three teams in the Liberty, although Yorktown, that's been young the last couple of years, should be better. Herndon's going to be okay, but they've got a new coach. Marshall's got a new coach as well, but they're going to be well coached and solid. And then you have Wakefield. They've had a lot of turnover. But, those teams are not bad teams, certainly. Now, the Concord District, which is also returning a lot of players, you would think with all the players returning in the Liberty District, the Liberty might do better against the Concord this year. Well, they may, but there's also 4 teams at the top of the Concord that return a lot of talent. Let's start with Centerville. Centerville made a run last year, made it far, made it into the state tournament before falling. They lost some players. They lost Sophia Karras from, Karus, I believe you pronounce her name, to Virginia Academy. She's a good shooter. They lost a couple other players to graduation, but they've got a player named Kennedy Parrott who is going to Colgate to play next year. She's a wing, athletic wing, smooth jumper, can really get up, virtually unstoppable one-on-one in the public school ranks. Centerville also has a lot of returning players, a lot of youth around her. Kennedy Parrott is the only senior returning, if you can believe that. She's going to be the only senior on the roster. But they have Claire Kang and Amalia Sirawanden. I believe I pronounced that right. Sirawanden. Excuse me if I didn't, Malia. She's a baller. She can play. Claire Kang and her are guards that can really, score and shoot. So those are two key players around Kennedy Parrott. They look good. I watched them in a scrimmage against West Potomac, a good team, and they scored 31 points in the first quarter. So that gives you an idea of the offensive firepower. Look at some of the other teams in the district. You've got Madison, who you would think, with the last vestiges of their state title teams gone, may have a little bit of a down year this year, but wow, they've looked good in the preseason as well. Smaller team than they've had in those state title years, but they're whipping around the ball. They're moving the ball well. They're running a faster offense, a quicker offense. Their returning guards look a lot better this year. Jada Ramos Diggs being one. Audrey Wang, Ava Wu, some of these other people. And they've got Sarah Becker, a returnee in the front court that kind of stabilizes things. Madison's looked pretty good this preseason. We'll see how well you can expect some inconsistency as these players kind of adjust to bigger roles that they've had previously. When you had some of the legends of recent Madison girls basketball playing, but they're gone now. So these young players are going to have to step up, and they look like so far they can. You've got Oakton, which returns. So Fred Priester ran a pretty tight rotation last year, only like 6 or 7 players, but they were good. They played defense. They controlled the ball. Led probably by Sophie Toole, a junior guard there, who's one of the best defenders in Northern Virginia, number one. Number two, can serve as a point guard and a distributor, does a lot, can score as well. And most of the pieces that they had last year in the rotation, except for Finley Tarr, who's a really good shooter, and that'll hurt them, return. And some of the younger talent that got some experience last year seems ready, like they'll break into the rotation a little bit, maybe. Fred Priester ran a pretty tight rotation last year. I think he'll have more options this year. Oakton's going to be good. Oakton's going to be right there. And the team that we're looking at that really has the versatility that kind of opened some eyes in the regional playoffs last year when they defeated Langley in the first round is Chantilly. They've got guards. They've got posts. They have depth. They're led by Emerson Mustard, their senior, kind of small forward, power forward type, who can bang down low and also handle the ball. But they've got talent, and they can play in a number of different ways. And we talked about depth at Oakton, how it might benefit them if they can show more of that this year. Chantilly has that depth. So we'll see. We rank them highly in our preseason Nova 19, just outside the top 10. We'll see if now they, aren't going to sneak up on anyone anymore. They generally don't, because they're a tall-looking team. As soon as they enter the gym, they grab everybody's attention. But we'll see about Chantilly this year. So moving on to the Occoquan region, there's, again, more possible contenders that could pull an upset of Osborne Park or another team in the playoffs. It's possible. The main ones standing out are the National District. If you go to the National District, on their all-district team last year, there was only one senior on that team. So there's a lot coming back. You start with Edison and Hayfield in that district, and that goes for the guys too. Those are traditionally the basketball schools. This year is no different. I think Hayfield returns 8 of their 9 top scorers, and they add some young talent too. So they're going to be very good. It starts with Alexis Cox running the point guard. She's a first-team all-district player, can shoot, very smart. You've got Madison Davis down low, Christina Carter. There's just 8 of 9 kids return, and they have a very large rotation. On paper, you would say they're the favorite in the district, but in recent history, Edison and Diane Lewis has gotten the upper hand against them, including last year when it was, Hayfield was right there. Hayfield and Edison played an epic game. that I was at that went back and forth and then into overtime. An outstanding game. Um, Edison returns a lot of their talent, especially in the backcourt. Sarah Chalky, Kennedy Marshall, Shannon Heiner. These are three players that I think in the game I just mentioned, they might have combined for 50 points of Edison's points. They're very good players. They're back. That's going to make Edison tough to beat. The question is in Edison's front court, where you do have a returnee, Massey. I apologize, I forget her first name. She's a very capable player, but there isn't as much depth in the front court as I'm sure Coach Lewis would like. Some unproven players are going to try to step in there. We'll see how it goes. Really, all she needs them to do is play defense and rebound. If someone can do that there, such as Massey, who does that, they should be okay. But I think, we're talking about Edison. They got upset by Woodson in I think it was the first round of regionals last year. If Edison's gonna, go to states, they're gonna need people to step up in the front court. So we'll see if that happens. The rest of the district is good too. We're keeping a close eye on Mount Vernon, who had two all district players, first and second team, in Nat Turner and Rachel Sykes. They're both back. Mount Vernon, we're going to get a look at early. We're going to see if they can kind of get into that tier 2 bunch of contenders too. Right now, we kind of have them borderline tier 3, tier 2. Same with TJ, who has a lot coming back. You know how it is at TJ. It's like, are these kids coming back for their senior year, or is there something academic they got to take care of? But they're led by Caden Kirkula, who's a fantastic, a little bit undersized, but just absolutely fantastic post player. She's going to be a great pickup for a Division III school if they can get her. I'm sure academically she has a ton of options as well. So they're there. You got Justice, Lewis, and Annandale. Lewis, we love that program. You got Donnie Goodwin, a good young player there, only a sophomore who's an all-district performer. Justice has got a nice program over there. It's just, in this district, it's going to be hard. Annandale's rebuilding after they lost Ava Sewell to Potomac School in the off season. That's going to be tough in this district. We'll see how they did. Over in the Patriot District, which is the other half of the Occoquan District, you got Woodson, like we mentioned. Now, they only had a couple losses. They went 16-12 last year, and they had a good season, but they really put it together in the playoffs, making a run, beating Edison, beating another team, I forget, and making it to states. Can they do it again this year? Yeah, because they have a lot of returnees. They did lose Sabrina Niedrich, which was a huge loss. But now Emma Kameli is who you got to account for. You had to count for her last year, too. The offense is going to go through her. She's a forward who can handle the ball. She's going to act as point guard. She's going to do everything for that team this year. The defense and the rebounding should be there. Under Coach Lee Toe. We'll see if the scoring is enough, but Emma Kameli is a great start. So watch out for Woodson. SoCo is the other team we're looking at. A ton of great guards that come back, good young guards. Natalia Wooten is only a sophomore. She's fantastic. She has length in the backcourt. She's got a bright future. Tons of guards that can run the court and play. They lost Leela Carter, their post player from last year, and that's going to be a problem maybe in that district. They're going to be good, but against some of these teams, and I'm going to mention one right now, Robinson, who still has Georgia Simonson in the fold, the Radford signee, who's one of the best post players in the area for, I don't know, going on 3 or 4 years now. She's back in the post for Robinson. Robinson has enjoyed a lot of success atop the Patriot District in recent years. They've made some postseason runs, but stopped by Madison. I know a couple years ago, stopped in the playoffs each year. With Georgia Simonson, nobody's going to want to play him this year. They've got another returnee in Madison Coutinho. I believe I pronounced that right. Apologize, Madison, if I didn't. She's in a really small but really dynamic guard who can play. She's going to have to step into a bigger role, and Robinson's really young this year, so Coach T.J. Dade is going to need a lot of people to step up. The rest of the district is very competent. The team to watch, one of these teams that I've been talking about, this team didn't even make somehow our top Nova 19. I'm not sure how. West Potomac. They can beat just about anybody, especially if the three-pointer is falling. Their guards are fantastic. Abby Bettis, Olivia Jones, Jill Humphreys, Dawn Houston, who can really defend. They're a little small. They rely on their guards. They rely on their three-point shooting. So some nights you're going to wonder, it was kind of like last year, you're going to wonder, how did you ever think this team was a contender? And some nights they're going to beat anybody. So we'll see about that. Then you have West Springfield, Lake Braddock, very capable teams. Lake Braddock with Emily DePaul and some other returnees. West Springfield with Lilia Mellor, Kalina Raposa, and some others. They're going to beat some teams, especially at home. They're going to be that district tournament's going to be murder. Alexandria City is an up-and-coming program out there, and Fairfax as well. So that district is going to be tough. The National District traditionally has had problems versus the Patriot in the postseason, but this is going to be a good region. The Occoquan region will be fun this year. So moving on, let's talk about, is there anyone out Osborne Park's way that can give them a game? Well, definitely Gainesville, as they have been doing in recent years. Gainesville's been right there with them. They feature Peyton White, who is probably one of the best, probably about it, is pretty much one of the best, if not the best, post players in the area. She's a handful, and they've got other talent. Madison Nicholson came over from PVI and is playing there this year. She's a good guard. So Gainesville is right there. They're ranked in our Nova 19. You look at the rest of Prince William, though, are there teams that can make a run? Maybe. Freedom gets a lot back. Freedom Woodbridge, I should say. The Johnson girls at guard, Savannah Price down low, a very good post player as well. Potomac is good with Taylor Allen returning out there. Freedom and Potomac, though, can they make a run in the playoffs against some of these strong teams? We'll see. You don't want to line up against Osborne Park, but they are capable teams. The rest of that district down there, though, kind of going through a little bit of flux. Colgan, a new coach after Fred Milbert retired. They've got talent, but they are kind of young. So we'll see out in Prince William, but right now it's Osborne Park and Gainesville out of the Cedar Run there. You have good programs. You have young guard talent at Battlefield. You have a good program at Freedom South Riding, obviously, but that's Osborne Park's backyard. So that's what it's. For anyone to beat Osborne Park out there, it would be a shocking upset. Somebody like a Langley or McLean or a Centerville doing it wouldn't be a shocking upset, but we'll see. Let's talk about Loudon, too. The big story last year was obviously Woodgrove. Getting that state title, beating Hampton. What a moment for that bunch. Sadie Shores coming back from PVI, leading Derek Fisher's team to the title, and Amaya Ramey, who was a freshman last year, just busting out against Hampton. A star was born. Well, unfortunately for Coach Fisher, she's at PVI now. She went to Paul VI. But Woodgrove is good. They're just young. This year they got 6 sophomores and 3 freshmen on their roster. So that's young. They do have returning talent from that state title game. Valerie Blankenship comes to mind. She was a starter last year. They're going to be good. It's just going to be growing pains. And they have a lot of young talent. we expect them to, by the end of the year, be making a run through the playoffs again. Maybe not getting the state title game, but definitely making a run, at least through regionals. That's a team to watch. We're watching Loudon Valley out there. Loudon Valley is always good. A lot of returnees. Maggie Mills, bunch of guards that can play out there. They love that zone press. They love to get up and down the floor. They're going to be a factor. And the big story in Loudon is a couple of the coaches moved that did really good things where they were at. Raven Short at Briar Woods, who had a legendary senior class graduate last year. She's now at Loudoun County, and she's got a lot of young talent at Loudoun County, but it's young talent, so it's going to take her a while to develop that. But we expect to see Raven Short in the playoffs back, if not this year, pretty soon in the next few years. The other transfer of coaches was Taylor Dotson, or Taylor Cook, since she got married. She went from Tuscarora to Heritage. Guess they ran out of Middleton sisters over there finally at Tuscarora. That's too bad, because for as long as we've been a website, they've been really fun to watch. But Heritage also has a good team over there. A lot of seniors. We're keeping a close eye on them, with good coaching that Taylor provides and a senior-oriented team at Heritage. They're going to be tough this year. So that's another Loudon team to look at. And if you want to go west of that, we talk about John Hanley with Reagan Etzel. She's getting Division One offers. She's a junior, kind of a small forward type out at Hanley. She's a heck of a player, and she's going to take them far. Hanley didn't go as far as they would have liked the last year, but 5 of their 6 top scorers returned, so they're a year more experience. Reagan's going to miss playing with her sister, who went on and is playing college basketball. I believe it's Shenandoah. I'm not positive about that, but that's their only loss. So John Hanley definitely capable of making a run out there. If you live out there, get out and see a John Hanley girls game and a guys game, to be honest. They've got some good teams out there this year. The other thing we want to mention as we get down, those are Class 4 teams, the ones that I just mentioned. John Hanley, Loudoun Valley, Woodgrove, those type teams. The Class 3 teams, and one of them, Meridian, made a great run to the state title game last year and came up just short. They were major underdogs, almost pulled it off. They could do it again. I mean, that shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. But they did lose a piece or two, key piece, but they have Nora Stuft coming back, Elizabeth Friesen. They're going to be good again, and they're kind of rival in the Northwest District, even though these schools are really nowhere near each other. Brentsville District is going to be good again. We love them. Talented guard and Peyton Brown, a junior. And we love Brooke Miller, who's a senior. It seems like she's been around for forever. That's a theme in girls basketball this year. Real capable player, type that gets you 12 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists every game, plays defense, smart. We love her. So it'll be fun to watch those two battle it out, probably in districts, regionals, and states yet again. And we also did want to mention Clark County as well. Clark County, a Class 2 team. We're covering Clark County for the first time this year. They made it all the way to state title game last year. They lost a lot from that team, so it's going to be hard. But I did want to mention Elena McCavish, who is back. Their junior all-world player, averaged 22 points a game and 8 rebounds a game last year. She's back, only a junior. We can't wait to see how she plays. She's gonna definitely one of the best players in the state, regardless of class. So I hope you can understand from what I've been talking about the last 30 minutes. This is a great year for girls basketball. Get out and see some games. Osborne Park's the number 1 contender in Class 6. But after that, you got a long line of teams that are very capable that can all beat each other. So enjoy the year. What do you think? Did I miss somebody? I'm sure I did. I do every year. Let me know in the comments.